Listening to podcast is no replacement for real training. While we attempt to provide accurate commentary, we hold no responsibility on how you use the information we provide. Get medical training. In the blink of an eye, everyday order can be replaced with once-in-a-lifetime chaos. Be prepared. This is the Civilian Medical Podcast.
People are going to be freaking out when they get the alert that this thing just hit the podcast alerts. But hey, my name's Dietrich. I'm Skinny Medic. Shawn here's my co-host, and we haven't done a podcast in a while, but we were at Goals, Gun Owners of America conference in Knoxville, Tennessee. And no less than probably 10 people came up and said, I missed the podcast. I missed the podcast. And I get comments all the time on my YouTube channel that says, hey, I missed the podcast. So I had to beg and get on my knees and buy Shawn dinner and buy him a couple of drinks and talk to him into recording a podcast at least every once in a while, just getting back onto things. But we're a civilian medical podcast, and we're going to record an episode.
We are. And what we agree? We agreed once a month we'll do it.
Yeah, I think something like that. Even once a month, once every other month, or just something like that would be nice, because once a week is pretty difficult. But if we did once a month, just to kind of keep it fresh, I think there's enough stuff going on in the world that we could talk about to kind of keep everything going. So
I agree. And I take a quick moment just to say that I thought I left you in good hands with Prep Medic, but I guess we just realized that Prep Medic is a douche.
He left me just up and ghosted me, divorced me. I thought we had a good thing going, me and Sam, and he wants to be this marathon runner and ultra runner, run 100 miles, and he's trying to have kids and a family and run a YouTube channel, and he just doesn't have time for me. So he put me on the back burner. So I had to find somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here I am. I'm back. Just when I thought I was out, they brought me back in.
Yeah, you checked out. You thought you were done. You're like, hey, I've reached the end of the Civilian Medical Podcast. I got you off on the ground, and then we're coming back. So,
hey, I'm glad to be here.
So, things have been busy. So, kind of what, I know you're super busy too, obviously, but last year, I guess it was by this time last year, November of 2023, I got the opportunity to go back to work full-time EMS. To be the education training officer for my EMS service. So I get to teach full time, get to run the cool calls, and get to be on the SWAT teams, multiple SWAT teams. So it was kind of a good opportunity for me to go back to work. I have 8 years left in state retirement. So that's kind of always hang in there, that if I could make another 8 years, then that's paid money for the rest of my life. And it gets insurance. With Gage being sick last year, we kind of struggled not having healthcare insurance. We were fine. It was definitely some people took care of us, and a lot of good things happened to us, but not having healthcare insurance, it sucks. We had Christian MedShare, which is kind of this catastrophic plan, but you have to front all the money up front. So if you get a bill for $3,000, you have to pay that bill, and then in 90 days they reimburse you, but you still have to front that money. And so it's not a big deal, but when you're $500,000 in debt to the hospital system, that adds up very quickly.
It is a big deal. So being self-employed, it is a struggle to keep insured at all times. So anyway, you were going to continue there.
Yeah. So that's one of the things we struggle with. We are I love being my own boss, to be able to do what I wanted to do, but at the same time, that healthcare insurance kind of flags there. So it's just one of the things we got an opportunity. And I have a great boss who lets me, she lets me do what I want to do. The only thing she said I couldn't do was I found these frozen cats that were pregnant frozen cats that you could order. And I was like, man, I want to dissect these in training. And she was like, no, because they were frozen, the hands up in the air and stuff. So we've done pig tracheas, which are really cool. We've done pig hearts. We dissected pig hearts in IST in our in-service. So it was really cool. But yeah, she told me no, I couldn't do a frozen dead pregnant cat. So I told her she would get one for Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah. Point that right at her.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have we have two different kinds of insurance because running into the fear of the same thing that you guys went through. So we've got our catastrophic HMO, which the deductibles are insane, and
Mhm.
it's like I mean, it barely covers anything. However, it pretty much you won't die waiting for treatment. So we've got that, and that's so expensive. And then we've got like a concierge health plan where we pay like a monthly fee, and then we get all the normal stuff, prescriptions and checkups, and if you have a cold or whatever, you can go in and get medicine, and the medicine's super cheap. So like between those two, I feel like we're mostly covered for the crazy stuff. But yeah, you guys, like, I think it was really you guys that, and seeing what you were going through, that made me be like, all right, I need to get something.
Yeah,
'Cause-
I mean, that literally caught us out of nowhere. Like, we were kind of thought Gage, we knew Gage had some issues, and then like it just snowballed on us so much that we didn't know it was coming. Like, we didn't expect it. Like, you have a perfectly healthy teenage boy, and then within 6-8 months, like, he is literally dying in front of you. And man, we couldn't stop it. And so he's doing great now, though. Like, he has an ostomy. He'll have his ostomy the rest of his life. He can do a thing called a J pouch, which is like a fake colon.
Mm.
They go in there and they build a colon in, and he would be able to have a bowel movement like normal. But he can have a colostomy bag for the rest of his life, and he's doing great with it. He does karate. He's doing 2 different disciplines with karate now, Okinawa Tempo and something else. But he's going to black belt in both of those in the next year, and he's a
That-
lifeguard. So I'm like, he is doing great. Like, from almost dying, a year and a half ago, something like that, to now we're here. Like, he's doing great. So it's definitely a trial to walk through, but definitely it's the support of everybody who got us through it. So
yeah, it's super cool. I'm so glad to hear that he's doing well. And I checked in too just to make sure, and like just following the journey it's been. You guys went through it.
yeah, definitely. Like, you stayed in touch. Definitely, we're reaching out. Like, what do we need? Like, what can we do to help us? So we appreciate it.
Yeah. So what are the, without going too far into detail, like what's the mechanism there? So he's got what'd you call it? The ileostomy?
Yeah, he has colonostomy, which is his large intestine. Basically, comes through his skin on his outside. So, like, if you saw his stoma, that is his intestine sticking out, and so it's exposed there. So all the bowel, the poop, just comes
Mhm.
out into a bag and seals to his skin. So he's able to empty the bag. It's got a little clip on it that unclips, and he can just empty that every so often, every hour, couple hours, depending on the size of the bag, stuff like that. But it looks really liquidy. Doesn't smell because he takes a pill that takes all the smell out of it. So,
That's cool.
but it looks pretty liquidy because it hasn't had a chance to like form yet. There's still a lot of water into the bowel, the stool,
Mhm.
and he changes the seal about every 14 days. So, but he can adjust it and do everything he wants to do with it.
That's so cool. And what's the when he is going to do like combat sports and lifeguarding and stuff like that? Does he wear the bag the entire time?
He does. So he has to wear it because he has no control of when the bowel's coming out.
I
So
see.
he knows when he's more active and when he's less active with his bowel's movement. But he has like a Kevlar little cup that goes over top of it with like a neoprene cover. So it looks like he's wearing a fancy fanny pack across it, but
Nice.
it's got Kevlar that protects the stoma. That way, if he gets kicked, he has protection. Now the stoma itself has no nerve ending, so you can't really feel anything. He doesn't feel anything in there when you're touching it. But it's yeah, and he can change different size bags if he wants. So like, if he wants a little small bag, he can change that so it's not flopping around so much. Or you can just keep your normal size bag on there.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. Just to see him like just doing all the normal stuff, even after going through all that.
The only thing he has to watch out for is he can get dehydrated super easy. So if
Uh,
he is sick, we have to make sure he's drinking plenty of water, Gatorade, things like that, because he can get dehydrated a lot easier than you and I. So, but other than that, like, he's a regular kid. Like, he goes swimming, just looks like he has a little fanny pack on.
That's so cool. I love it, man. That's awesome.
And like I said, he could do the J pouch, which the J pouch is like a fake colon, but the risk of infection is really high. Like, I have a coworker who has a J pouch, and he's on antibiotics like all the time because of infection. So I don't think that's necessarily what you want to do either. So like
Right.
he's like, as long as I can survive on just empty my bag out, then I'm going to do my bag out. But so he's doing well.
What a good kid, man. I love it. So going back to do training and stuff, do you also set like the curriculum that you guys are training, or do you have input into that?
Yes. So I have full control of what we're teaching, what we're doing, the medications that we're covering on the AMLAs. I have, input on all that. So we were able to add some really cool medicines that my med control, like he has to sign off on that stuff. We have a doctor who kind of tells me what I can and can't do, but he was awesome. He was like, you want to do this? Let's do it. So we added some really cool medicines that none of the other services in the state of South Carolina are even covering. We were kind of pushing the envelope on that. So Etcetera, which is for seizures, we were able to carry that. TXA for trauma, we started carrying that, which is good. And then what was the other one? Tylenol, IV Tylenol. So our crews are able to get that because it works really good for ortho injuries. Instead of giving fentanyl, morphine, ketamine, which, ketamine's gotten a bad rap pre-hospital, and thanks to your state, and just a little jab there.
You're welcome.
Sam's aware of that one too, but so IV Tylenol works great for knee injuries, ortho, like pelvic, hip injuries. So it works really good. So we're kind of doing that, and I'm able to just set my training, what I want to do, how I want to train, and then if a cool call comes out, a high acuity call, my boss lets me go on it, and then still doing SWAT. So we do a couple call outs a month, whether it be a high risk warrant or, something like that. So get to shoot guns and get paid for it. And she still lets me run my business. We're doing great with medical gear. Lindsay is our shop manager. She does, if I didn't have her, I couldn't work full time, but Gage is down there packing orders, and we have a few other employees that kind of rotate through. So yeah, everything's good right now.
That's so awesome. TXA is bleeding control. Is that what you guys use it for?
It is. So we're using it for bleeding control, especially like bleeding inside the chest cavity or abdominal cavity. The body's kind of weird. So it's building up clots inside the body. And also the body realizes that it's building up clots. So it actually tries to break down those clots to restore blood flow back to organs that are dying. So TXA actually stops that process of clots getting broken back down. So it lets the clot build up more instead of breaking itself back down. So we use it for that when we're giving blood for people who are like GI bleeds, or they've been shot, stabbed in the chest, abdomen, anywhere that's non-compressible, we can give TXA. And then we're giving blood and calcium. We're giving blood and calcium too. Like calcium, we're seeing that these patients that are bleeding out, they're getting really low in calcium. So we're having to give calcium IV as well.
Interesting. Have you seen increased outcomes with these changes that you've implemented?
We've seen some good outcomes and better outcomes on trauma patients that have internal bleeding, that we're able to get blood products on board where we were just starting IVs and giving normal saline. And now we're able to see that we're getting better outcome. Patients are awake and talking to us. They may be unconscious when we get there, and by the time they get to the hospital, they're awake and talking.
That's so awesome. You guys probably have one of the more progressive systems out there, honestly.
We do. We are. Yeah. So we're good. Everyone's kind of struggling with staffing, and we're staffed now post COVID, and everything's back on the rise. So we're doing good.
So awesome. I don't really have any major life updates. Let's see. I guess I got married in the time since we did a podcast together, and haven't done a ton of medical stuff. I still keep my skills up, watch a lot of stuff, study pretty regularly, but life just got so freaking busy that.
Have you been doing any classes or anything?
No, I haven't. I really miss it. I really want to. I have been keeping my curriculum updated with just like new stuff that comes out. I just haven't done a bunch just because it does take so much time. However, I always said that the classes are something that I do for me because I enjoy them so much. So I've really been thinking about doing some. And, I've got a lot more room here at the office now, took over more area. And so I got the room to do it. I think I've got the time to do it a little bit now. So yeah, one of my favorite things to do is teach those classes.
Yeah, time is just a problem. Especially for me, we've stopped doing classes just because it's tough. Working Monday through Friday, I get the weekends off, and those classes take all weekend typically. So yeah, we kind of stopped doing them. So we kind of have been slackers, but also time with the family and kids are important. Gage is going to be 17 soon, so he's thinking about what he wants to do for a career, and just kind of thinking about that process, that his time is coming to an end living with us. So we want to enjoy that time and kind of make the most of it. So I know you've been there, you've got older kids, but Gage is talking about he wants to be a paramedic. He also wants to weld and work on cars. So I was like, go get your paramedic, make some, get insurance, make some money, and then go get your welding certificate, go learn how to work on cars. And if that leads you to what you want to do, then by all means, please do it. But you could do welding and stuff on your days off. So
Yeah.
we'll see what he ends up doing. But, if he wants to weld, like, go be a welder. Like, that's fine. You don't have to be a paramedic because I was that.
100%. I mean, both of those are fantastic careers. Like, really no lose on both of those. And having both of those skills and being able to just move forward and do whatever you want to do, it's huge.
Yeah, definitely. So that's why I was like, you don't have to be an EMS just because I was an EMS, but if you want to learn how to weld, like, go weld. Like, we'll support you 100% in that.
So awesome. So let's talk about how has the medical world changed? Any cool new products or anything like that that's been coming out?
So one of the products I kind of been keeping my eye on is this stuff called trauma gel. And I did a YouTube video on it. I don't actually have any to demo, which I've reached out to the company and hopefully I'll get some that I put my hands on, which would be kind of cool. But it's this gel that comes in a syringe. It looks like about a 15, 20 cc syringe that you have a large wound and you push it down into the wound and it's really thick. It's supposed to be like a natural gel too. So they haven't said what it's made out of, but it is said it's natural. So I would kind of interesting there, but they come off the vet side. So they've been using animals for a while, which, I would assume that if it's been working on animals, then the data is going to translate well to humans.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be, instead of having a wound pack, then you could use this and like get it down into the wound and then let the gel kind of run to where it wants to. And that's going to help stop bleeding. For me, I think about like a neck injury where someone's been cut, laceration across the neck.
Yeah.
Where those are, you can wound pack those a little bit, but there's not really much of a cavity to a wound pack. But if you could squirt that gel down in there and then hold pressure, I think it would work well for something like that. Like, I'd be interested to see how well it does on injuries like that.
Do you have to apply it directly to the source of the bleed?
That's what they're saying. And they said it also will like kind of flow into the wound and it's going to find the source of the bleeding from my understanding. So I think you'd want to get it kind of close to the source, but the way it shows in the video, it kind of like flows into the wound. So then it would kind of, find the source itself.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Cause let's see, blood is pushing out, your blood pressure is putting pressure towards whatever the wound is. You put this up against it. I find it, I mean, obviously it's working, right? So like, I don't want to speculate that it's not, but then, so it'll go up against that somehow and increases clotting, maybe. I don't know. I'm watching the video right now. It's super interesting. And they don't use much. Like, I was thinking they filled it like that foam that grows and like plugs holes and stuff in houses. But it's not that at all, is it?
No, it doesn't expand. Like, it doesn't, like, that's what I don't know, because typically we teach bleeding control is about pressure.
Mhm.
So this, just kind of flows in there. So I'm interested to see. It hasn't, as far as I'm aware, the TCCC committee hasn't come out and recommended it or anything like that yet. So they're going to want to see data and before they make a recommendation on, whether we should be doing this versus quick clot, Celox rapid, stuff like that. But I am interested too, like, like you were saying, like, get those wounds that are just flowing blood past, like those arterial bleeds, the femoral artery. How well does this get down to the source while I've got blood flow rushing the other way? Like, it's swimming upriver. Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, how's it going to work?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. And I'm watching the video kind of here as we go, and it seems so effective. I assume these are like pigs. That's what the flesh looks like to me.
Yes, that's what I would assume.
Yeah. Now, for civilians, so all of these are very clearly excised areas. So like they're very open. That's not necessarily what we would really see or what you see in EMS, right? Like, I wonder what the bridge is there to actually get this into a wound where it's just not fully open, where we have trouble seeing where the source of the bleed is. We can find it with our fingers, but how do we find it with this?
Yeah, like that would be curious to know too, because we've talked about, like a 9mm is, when it goes in, is typically very small. And even the exit could be small if it does exit, or 40, 45 caliber, or whatever you're shooting with. So you're talking about little small holes. So could you get enough of this down in there that's flowing blood out, where combat gauze or Celox, if you can't get down in there, you just hold pressure on top. Like, the clotting cascade will work. It just takes a little bit longer. But I'm curious, like, could we get enough of this gel down into that wound to stop the major bleeding?
Yeah. And maybe the indication for this isn't that at all. Maybe this is just like something in addition to, if you can see the source of the bleed, you get it there quick.
Yeah, I think about, like an injury pattern we saw recently was a guy got cut from ear to ear.
Oof.
And the crew was basically holding pressure on both sides, which we typically don't like to do that, just because of blood flow to the brain. If you're putting pressure on both the carotids, then the brain is not getting good blood flow. But the video showed this guy got cut, and the crews are holding pressure, and they end up taking a pair of clamps, and they clamped into the artery because that's the only way they could get the bleeding to stop.
Wow.
In the video. So I couldn't post that on my YouTube channel because it was too graphic. I already got two channel strikes. That's another story. So I was like 2 strikes, and the 3rd strike you're out. So I
Yeah.
really wanted to do this as an after action video, but I thought it was too touchy to do it. But you can see like they end up clamping down in there. And what the crew did was they sprayed epi down into the wound, which kind of vasoconstricts, and they were able to see it to clamp down on it, which I thought was pretty interesting. So I actually talked to my medical control about that, and he said they are doing that. They do it in surgery a lot. They mix epi, make it diluted, and they'll spray epi and TXA into a syringe, and it actually vasoconstricts the veins so you can find the artery that's nicked, and they'll clamp it. They'll do it in surgeries. I was like, "Oh, can we do that pre-hospital?" So we're kind of talking about that. Hands and feet are no-go on that kind of stuff because it's basically making an artery. And I was like, well, we can have a tourniquet for 2 hours. Like, can I spray epi down into the wound?
Right.
So, but I wanted to do an after action video on that on my YouTube channel. But like I said, I'm on 2 strikes, and that 3rd strike, Skinny Medic is gone. So
Yeah.
I got to be very careful right now what I post.
You should start like another channel where you specifically do stuff like that. And
Yeah.
so you can get the info and the data out there, but then not risk, something you've worked on for over a decade.
Yeah, I'm like, we are at 600,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I was like 2 strikes. So one more strike, and like I'm in trouble. So, like I think I could build another channel back up, but it would take so much longer, and like it'll be.
No,
So I don't want to lose it. So, but yeah, I'm like kind of behave for a little bit on YouTube.
absolutely, yeah. Do those strikes go away? I don't recall.
I'm gonna find out. We'll find out. My first strike goes away in October, so that's why I was like, man, if we could do this podcast, like I could at least talk about these things, and the censorship is a little bit better. So I'm like,
yeah, 100%. I was literally I was gonna put the video up on the screen and then thought twice about it.
Yeah,
because exactly that.
Yeah, at least we can talk about the wound patterns and stuff like that, and how to treat them. But we don't have to show videos, so the censorship's a little bit better, and we can still get the information out on a podcast. So that's what.
Yeah. Definitely,
reason to bring it up.
This product looks super cool. I love seeing stuff like this. Just kind of at the beginning. It is curious that they don't mention what it's made of or anything like that.
I'm hoping it's not going to be by prescription only too. Like the Xstat was the one that was a syringe that had the little pills that would expand out.
Yeah.
But it was prescription. Like you had to have a doctor sign off saying you could order this. So like that's not fun, especially in the civilian market. My EMS world, I can get a doctor to sign off on. My med control will sign off, and I can call him. But on the civilian side, that's super frustrating. So I'm hopefully this stuff doesn't look like that, and it's be open to civilians.
Yeah, absolutely. And Xstat's just the little sponges, right?
Yep, that was the little sponges that kind of start out super small, and they were exposed to blood. They expand out, so they do hold that pressure because you had squirted it into the wound and then hold pressure. So as they fill out, then that holds the pressure for you.
What a weird thing to require a prescription for,
Yeah, I don't understand why either. Like, so hopefully this is not that, and that'll be my recommendation if they could get away with it. I don't know if it's for liability reasons or whatever, but that'd be let's get it out to the civilian market.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this was it Cressalon. What's the name of it? Trauma gel,
so.
hemostatic gel. Like hopefully, because that would be great. Keep it in your med kit as just another option. Gauze, tourniquets, combat gauze, like all the things you can have to help with the crazy stuff that you come across in life.
It doesn't like it take up that much room either. So like you said, you could run your tourniquet, some combat gauze, this trauma gel, chest seals, a pressure bandage, and some extra gauze, and not still take up a massive amount of room in your trauma kit. So we'll see.
Yeah. And the ability to have options, right? You push this stuff in, it doesn't work, then clearly just pack pressure, or just TQ it in the first place, which is what I pretty much recommend for us civilians.
Yeah, and there's more push, from to do a conversion of those tourniquets now too. So it's kind of more of a push. To we put a tourniquet on, let's see if we can convert it back and just wound pack it, put a pressure bandage on. The last couple of years that seems to be a bigger push now. Is like, all right, cool, let's put a tourniquet on and stop it, but then take a breath and go, all right, can I wound pack this and can I take that tourniquet back off?
Mhm.
We know the tourniquet can be on there for a while, but they are super painful. If I can get that tourniquet back off, then maybe my patient has a better outcome after that.
Yeah. Are you seeing that in EMS or are you seeing it in the like TCCC, TECC space?
Like TCCC stuff right now.
Mhm.
Our crew is just putting on tourniquets and most EMS around, but I think that TCCC is starting to push that tourniquet conversion. So I think in 5 years or however long it takes to get to EMS and civilian market, that you'll see that start to push. That we'll start converting more tourniquets.
Yeah. Speaking of tourniquets, have you seen any new stuff come out that looks interesting? Any new stuff been approved that you're aware of?
Yes, there's a new tourniquet we started carrying at Medical Gear Outfitters called the Everyday Tourniquet. And to be completely honest with you, like I had several people ask me about it at goals, like, what do you think about it? And I was like, it doesn't replace your cat tourniquet, your soft T, Sam XT. It's just another tool in the toolbox, like you were saying before.
Mhm.
But I think this one is a good one to stick in your pocket. It's a little bit smaller. It's still plenty wide enough. So it's not like a narrow tourniquet that's going to cause more damage, things like that. But it is small enough that it fits in a magazine, like a magazine holder. It's about the size of a Glock magazine, things like that, or a mid-sized gun magazine, and it has, it looks just like a cat or a soft T. It has a windlass that you put on, you pull it tight, you turn the windlass, and when you get it tight enough, it has a little chem light that breaks on it too, so you can see it, and you also know that hey, this tourniquet's on. It's kind of a little addition there that it's been applied. But it looks very similar to a cat tourniquet, the way the windlass turns and things like that. But I like it. I think it's smaller. I think for someone who's putting it in a backpack, your pocket, more of an EDC carry, I think it works great. If you don't want to carry a soft T, you don't want to carry a cat tourniquet in your blue jeans, then you can have it there. And it's made by Snake Staff Systems.
Mhm.
And I actually had somebody come up to me at goals and had one in their pocket. So
That's
I
cool.
think it's better than if you were going to carry like a belt or
Yeah.
something, something like that. Like I think it'd be a better option than doing something along those lines.
Have you done a video on that? Have you tested it yourself?
I did a video and I tested it and I was able to get occlusion. I think Prep Medic did one too as well. But I was able to get occlusion and make my pulse go away on my body. And I think it would work, even if I had blood on my hands, things like that, I think it would still work. So
Yeah, I was in Prep Medic's video and we failed to fully occlude my leg.
okay.
And then I remarked that it was extremely painful. Like I've had so many cat tourniquets on me, but this one just felt a little bit more painful. And Snake Staff actually called me a sissy.
Dang. So
I'm
it
not
is a little bit narrower than a cat.
sure.
So
Yeah.
not by much, but so therefore, if it's a little bit narrow, it's going to take more pressure to occlude
Mhm.
that. So that's where the pain's coming from. But yeah, so I think it's better than a belt. I think it's better than other tourniquets we see on the market. But I have not replaced it with my cat tourniquet. Like my cat tourniquet is still my go-to, or the soft T. But I think it's something else to carry this, that makes it a little bit easier. I would rather see someone carry this tourniquet than say I'm going to put a belt on, or I'm just not going to worry about carrying anything. So that's kind of where I would put it.
Yeah, I totally agree actually. And I think that this is one of the most like I've seen so many tourniquets that people kind of try to bring to market over the years, and so many of them are just real bad. This is by far one of the best ones that I've seen. Even though, like in Prep Medic's video, like we didn't get full occlusion on my leg. Like, it's as you just said, it's in addition to, in conjunction with type thing. And if this is what you can carry, if this is all you can carry in your pocket, like it's better than nothing for dang sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I see. The Kim light, I could take or leave it. Like if I don't really, the Kim light doesn't like get me excited. I do like the size of it, but it's still big enough that it, it could act as a tourniquet, but it is narrower than I say the cat. And that's where
Mhm.
the wider the tourniquet, the less pressure it takes. Like the SWAT T, you can put a SWAT T on it. It fully occludes. It's not super painful,
Right.
but you got to have both hands free to put the SWAT T on. I think that's one of its downfalls is you got to have both hands, and when rubber gets bloody, it gets super slippery. So I think there's some complications with a SWAT tee.
Yeah.
But there again, like I'm a cat guy. I've used it. I know it works, and I can secure it and lock it down. But it does take up more room than if I'm just going to put some of my blue jeans, or shorts or something like that. Then this is a lot easier to pack.
Yeah. Broader than a rat's tourniquet, less broad than a cat tourniquet. And you guys haven't been sued out of existence yet, like Recon was. So it's a good thing.
Right. I guess now, I guess Recon, I feel like they started Rhino. Like everyone keeps asking me to do the video on the Rhino tourniquet. I'm like, I'm not doing a video on the Rhino rescue tourniquet. It looks just like a cat. It looks like why would I promote that when I could just say buy a cat tourniquet? So
I haven't seen the Rhino rescue. Let me take a look at these.
You should. Yeah. It comes in tan. Like you can at least get it in tan.
I mean, that's important. You got to have the right colors for your kit if you're going to look cool on the gram.
Yeah, you got a color code.
Oh boy, this looks real familiar.
It does. It looks awful like some other tourniquets we've seen that have been out of China that have failed. And yes.
Yeah, I haven't heard of Rhino Rescue yet, but this does. It looks pretty familiar.
And like I said, maybe it works, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why you would just save a couple of dollars. Like maybe money's tight. I get it. Like things are more expensive, but at the same time, like if we're talking less than $5 or $6, why not just get a cat? And even if you have to stop getting Starbucks one day, like skip the pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah.
And get this to save a little bit more extra money. So
yeah, the cat, the soft tea, like stuff that's been proven stuff. And I hate to say that, recommended by the board of TCCC, right? But like at the same time, it is important that there are standards that are met. And I think that as of now, TCCC is like kind of one of the places that does that. They meet every year, they look at stuff, they test stuff every few years and make recommendations based on that. And that's a good way because there are so many counterfeit tourniquets out there. Like I know this YouTube channel just recently got busted selling a bunch of fake counterfeit tourniquets on their website. And I'm like, man, it's so bad. So having the recommendation is at least a good starting point, I think.
Yeah, and I like innovation. Like I want to see something cool come out, like the trauma gel or a new tourniquet come out that kicks cat's butt. But that's the only way we're going to see is innovation come through is progress like that, but not a sacrifice of quality as well.
Yeah, and honestly, like if it's on medicalgearoutfitters.com, like I trust you. So if it's on there, like I know that you've worked with it, you've looked at it, and I trust the things that you put on the website.
Yeah, we get companies all the time like want us to add to our inventory. We're like, no, we're not adding that. Sorry, appreciate it. Or we'll just ignore their email.
Yeah.
But like I said, when we reached out about the everyday tourniquet, we kind of did a video on it. I know, like you said, you guys had your video, but it was okay. I think this is better than a belt. And I think this is, it's there. So something that you could drop in your briefcase, your man purse, your fanny pack, and doesn't take up as much room. I think we're good with it. So we're going to add it.
Yeah. And I mean, there are occasions when a cat won't fully occlude a leg and you have to put another one on. So like the fact that it didn't fully occlude my leg, it's not a failure. It's just an observation in that situation. It could have been pants I was wearing, but that stuff happens with everything. And it's something to take into account. But yeah, now that it's on the website, I'll buy it. What if I was going to buy it at medicalgearoutfitters.com? Do you have a coupon code?
Don't we have coupon code Civilian Medical?
I think so.
I had to think about that. I was like, oh God, I think Civilian Medical is good for 10% off.
I think so. Yeah. I know that we used to for sure. You know what? I'm just going to try it right now. Well, let's see. Maybe I'm going to attempt to try it. There we go. Discount code. Let me remove that one because I've got this other one, but Civilian Medical.
Yep. Civilian Medical is good for 10% off.
Boom. Yeah, it works. So
been used 1,000 times.
Blatant plug.
There we go.
Go buy it. Go buy stuff. You did release a new kit on the Medical Gear Outfitters website, and I literally was going to text you and ask you about it, but I was like, I'll talk to him Friday. So what's going on with that?
So we're always looking kind of different for different kits, different what's new out there. So we added the Eagle IFAC from North American Rescue. So get my camera angle right. It's a very narrow IFAC, has zippers on either side so you can pull it down. But then what I liked about it was the panel comes out. So this panel here, so that way you can just lay this on the ground because all of your gear is going to be webbed into here. So then this just comes out, or you could throw this to your buddy, like, hey, here's your trauma kit. Like this part would stay on your vest. You pull this off, and you're like, hey, here's your trauma kit. But I like the fact that it could come off and you just lay it on the ground beside your patient, and now you have everything to work with laying on the ground next to your patient.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's nice and compact too.
Yep, it's compact. It's not going to take a lot of real estate on your battle belt or your vest, whatever you'd like to. And you can carry everything you need to. We carry it with combat gauze, compressed gauze, or Celox Rapid.
Yeah, depending on what kind of budget they're working with.
Yeah, we go with budget. Like if you want a little cheaper option, get compressed gauze. If you've got a little bit higher end budget, then you can go with combat gauze or Celox.
Yeah. So what all? Let's see. It comes with a cat tourniquet.
Yep.
The flat
comes with
ETD bandage.
Yep.
What else?
Comes with gloves, like a pair of large gloves. It's got the Bare Nitro, like the super thick ones that are long as well.
Nice.
And then comes with hyphen chest seals.
And with all that stuff in there, is there room to add additional things?
There is. So there's enough room. Like if you wanted to add a needle, like a decompression needle, like you feel comfortable or you're trained with that, you could also add an MPA. If you're in something else you're trained in, you could add that. So there's a little bit more room to add some stuff. But I just liked it because it was compact, and the fact that I could bring it off of me and just now look and see, instead of having to like look down and see what I'm trying to dig for, I can lay it out next to the patient and have a little bit easier access to the supplies.
Yeah, that's super cool. I really like the panel that comes out. It seems so obvious to do stuff like that, but most people don't. It's weird. When you see it, you're like, oh, why doesn't everyone do that?
Yeah, and like, for us, it's just easier just to, okay, NAR already has the pouch made. There's no sense reinventing the wheel, so we'll just get it from them.
Yeah, heck yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw that you released that. Any other cool new stuff that you've seen come down the pipe that you guys are selling?
I don't think so. We got some more hats in, like the hat I'm wearing in this video. So we had sold out of them. We sold out, so we added these back in. So everyone likes them.
Yeah, I do. I literally wore mine out. I wore it till it was like filthy and had to be thrown away.
That was Bob Faxon for Faxon Firearms years ago. Said, buy a good hat. He was like, if you buy a good hat, people will wear it. If you buy a crappy, cheapest hat you can find, no one will wear it. They'll just throw it in the garbage can. They'll throw it in the back of the closet. But if you buy a good hat, people will wear it. And we did. So we went out, like, these are, I can remember the name of the brand, like, what's the name brand of it? But anyway.
Richardson, I think.
Yeah, Richardson. Yeah. So, and people wear them. Like, people wear them out. Like, so, like, it's worth it. So that was one of my advices I got from, a guy that obviously is doing well in the business. And it does well.
It's so true. I know like what kind of shoes I wear and what brand of hats I like the most. Richardson 112 and 115, man.
Yep, these are the 112s. Yep. So there again, like if you own your own business and you're listening to us, like we'll give you that advice for free. Like go buy a nice hat and people will wear it. So
totally agree, man. Well, let's see. I was telling you before we started that I've been looking at a lot of the stuff on your Skinny Medic Instagram page, and it's some fun scenarios. And when I say fun, I mean that in no meaning of the actual term fun, but interesting scenarios. And I thought maybe we could go through a couple of them and just talk about like from a civilian medical perspective, like how would you go about basically just marchy, whatever you're doing, race care if you're doing first care provider. So the first one was this guy on a roof. How'd he get there? What the heck happened?
Yeah, so if you watch the video, you kind of see this pickup truck has run into the house. And the story is he got ejected out of the pickup truck onto the roof of the house. And there's another video that shows the truck more on fire. So you have a scene safety is, we talked about that in our early videos. Our early podcast was, scene safe BSI, make the scene safe. So now you have an unsafe structure because structure collapse of the house could be a possibility. You have a fire of the vehicle, and you also have a patient on a roof. And we know how sloped roofs can be a problem. So Slide that in there.
Yep.
So I think scene safety is a big one here. Making the scene safe. We got to get the fire out. We have to be super cautious being on the roof. We have a patient we're going to have to package. So your March algorithm would all come on top of the roof, stop major bleeding, protect his airway, look at respiratory, and then let's prevent heat loss. And then you got to package him and get him off the roof. And this is a complicated call for sure, but it would be fun. Like I would have a fun time on it.
Yeah. I mean, so let's say not from an EMS perspective. Let's say that Dietrich sees this happen and you're like, oh God, what is the first thing you do?
Like shooting from the hip, I think I put the fire out because I don't want my house to burn down.
Yeah.
Like the guys on the roof, I'm like, that's fine. You can stay there.
Mhm.
Don't move. I would just like yell at him not to move because I don't want him to roll off the roof. But I think from gut, like I think I'd put the fire out of the car because I don't want my house to burn down.
Right. Absolutely. Or someone else's house, even if it's not yours. So
Yeah.
you're finding a hose, but for this scenario, you don't find a hose.
Can I pull a
Clock's
fire
ticking.
extinguisher out? Yeah, can I pull a fire extinguisher out of somewhere?
You don't have a fire extinguisher.
I don't know. We called 911, obviously.
There it is. That's what I was looking for.
I forget. I am 911.
I know exactly.
But I think like worst case here, like what if the house is on fire now and like he's still on the roof? Like you got to have to drag him off the roof.
Yeah.
Before EMS gets there or before the fire department gets there. What if they're 8-10 minutes away and the house is catching on fire? Now he's up there. I'm like, oh, this could get complicated really fast.
Yeah, and there's so many direct threats, right? Like in TCCC, direct threat, indirect threat, evacuation. So like you have to gain the advantage over whatever the threats are. The threats are fire, building collapse, heights. Like you don't know. I mean, he got ejected onto the roof, so there's so many things to take into account. But yeah, call 911, get that next level on the way immediately. And then like, holy moly, there's 1,000 different options to try to gain the advantage.
Yeah, and I would tell them on the 911 that he's on the roof, like because that's not just an ambulance showing up. Like they need help getting him off the roof safely. So letting dispatch know that hey, there's a dude on my roof,
Right?
Cars in there. So that's going to response a little bit bigger response from most fire departments. So letting dispatch know what's going on when you make that 911 call.
Yeah. So let's say that you've gained the advantage over the threats to the best of your ability. You find a ladder. You get up on the roof. First responders are not there yet. What is literally the first thing you're going to do with this dude?
So I'm going to look for major bleeding. Just kind of assess that, see if I need to get major bleeding stopped. And then airway, I'm just going to roll him on his side. I know we can talk about C-spine, stuff like that. And, check for level of consciousness, see if he's alert, things like that. But if I can get major bleeding and roll him to his side, that way if he does vomit, I can protect his airway by just keeping him on his side. And I'm probably just going to hang out there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like no sense rushing anywhere else. Just if we get major bleeding stopped and then roll him on his side, I got some of the life threatenings that's going to kill him are now taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man. And then first responders show up like you. And I mean, as EMS, like you get there, what the heck what's the first thing you do as EMS?
I'm probably going to say a cuss word or two. I'm like, correct. Yeah, like we would have to make sure the scene is secure for us. Like the scene has to be safe. Like going back to like the threats, like we have to stop the threats. So put the fire department on securing the fire, and then let's put a ladder up to get access there. And then you're gonna have to put him in a Stokes basket probably and bring him down off a Stokes basket. So it's secured. We can lower him down with that. A Skedco style stretcher. Some of those lines to kind of drag him down. You're gonna even like a rope system maybe just to keep him safe. Like this is not gonna be a quick, easy dump unless you just push him off and like, oh, he rolled off the roof.
Yeah,
like if you just push him, not our problem anymore. Like, oh, you just like slip and he rolls off, and now you're like, okay, now we can put him on the stretcher and drive fast. So, yeah, just complicated, and you're trying to get a ladder. Like, all right, go to your garage, find a ladder that your wife has put, stored. Got to dig all the dust off of it and get up there, and you don't fall. So, lots of scenarios that this could get complicated very quickly.
Yeah. One thing to consider also is he ran into a house. So there's very possible that he's intoxicated, on drugs, altered mental state from some kind of, either physical malady or mental thing. So definitely something to keep keep in mind there, especially as a civilian responder, is, you know, are you safe? Like that's one of the top things. If by gaining the advantage over the threat and deciding that you are going to help this guy, like, are you safe? You know, very much observant of what he's doing, what he's saying, and, you know, if there's any weapons or anything that could hurt you.
And then the multiple patients too. I mean, he could have ran into the living room of this house.
Right.
So there could be patients inside the house too. So it could get complicated very quickly here.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that one. Great point. Like, is he the most emergent person that you need to think of? And as the guy who literally ran into a house that is now on fire, like, do you go inside? Do you try to go inside? Do you try to see if there's anyone innocent in this situation? And he may be innocent. Like, I don't want to say he's guilty, but, you know, people in the house are probably a little bit higher on my priority list personally, just as like who I might want to help.
Yeah, and you gotta be careful going inside that house because that's a corner that's been the construction. Maybe, you know, the house falls in, caves in on you as you're trying to make access to the patient. You can't just not simple as pull the truck back away from the house because then you do have a structure collapse, and maybe those people were doing okay, and now you've collapsed the house on top of them.
Yeah.
So it gets complicated very quickly.
Absolutely. But, you know, that's the stuff that we, both as civilians and you as a first responder, have to worry about. These are things that we need to think about. And these scenarios are like such good training for ourselves in our minds, because, you know, the body can't go where the mind's never been. And thinking about this stuff, like how you might respond, may give you a leg up if it ever does happen.
Yeah, that's why we post this kind of stuff on, you know, YouTube or Instagram, is to get you thinking. That way, heaven forbid, you ever show up, you're like, and now you do have a big picture of things. You're like, I remember this, I remember that, and things start clicking, and hopefully you help somebody.
Yeah, for sure. Next scenario is a little bit of a pool party, if you will. What's going on here?
So this guy ran through a privacy fence and just plows into an above ground pool, and then kind of gets out and looks around like what happened. But I think about, you know, there again, going back to what if my kids were in that swimming pool and this moron plows through the water? What if he could have got stuck into the pool and now we have a water rescue?
Yeah.
Like lots of what if scenarios that could have happened here.
Yeah. And I think, you know, first thing is, were the kids in the pool? That's such a horrifying thing to even think about. So what are the possible threats here? We've got water. We've got instability because it's crashed into maybe the house. It kind of looks like it's crashed into the pool. Totally, the pool's gone. Who knows if there's electrical concerns? Lots of water. Obviously, it could be something there. When he gets out, he puts his hands on his hips, so he doesn't necessarily look from the outside like altered mental state or anything like that. But yeah, that's another tough one. Any other possible threats that I'm not thinking of?
I think about, like, he doesn't seem to be acting right though. Like somebody who just plowed through, and he, like you said, he kind of just moseys out of the car. I'm like, like what happened there? Like and there's a trampoline there too. So like there's obviously like they have kids there. Like I don't see this being an adult house where they do have a random trampoline for adults, but the possibility of kids being there, multiple kids, you know, that could just escalate this thing and get a lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you know, just following the same thing, gain the advantage over the threat, know what phase of care you're in. This one doesn't appear like anyone's injured, so not a huge deal. This one's just more trying to manage the scene, get emergency service on the way, be a good witness. I think is a hugely important one on this one in case he tries to run, take off, whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, he doesn't need to be acting like, to me, like he doesn't act like someone who just got into a car wreck. Like you said, he kind of moseys out, hands on his hip. I'm like, he's like, what the heck just happened? But it seems kind of odd to me. So like I would be curious what's going on with him. But he went through a fence. So you think about, you know, as a parent, you're like, all right, my trampoline's behind a fence. My kids are safe. And then blink of an eye, your kids are not safe. So being out there, like watching your kids in the pool, like that should be somebody's a parent, like, you know, just kind of keep an eye on them. And that way you're not in the house and you hear someone plow through not that you can stop them, but at least you're there on scene faster, seeing things go down.
For sure. The third video, and again, these are all from Skinny Medic's Instagram account. That's skinny_medic. The third one is a nighttime scene with the guy getting out of his car.
Yeah. I saw this one come through. Someone sent this one to my DMs, and I was like, wow, like he almost landed that perfectly. And like these cops that are not in America, I don't believe they're American cops, pull up and kind of catch the scene. So it looks like a police chase. He jumps the car and like clears, but like situation awareness, like you have to be like, hopefully he heard the sirens coming,
Yeah.
and like situation awareness is for what I took away with this one is to know your surroundings. It's dark. It's raining outside. So just being aware of your surroundings.
Let's say that there was no cops and that you're getting out of the car, you see this car, you run away, the car runs over and flips. You don't see anyone else around. You're the guy. What do you do?
So like you said before, we call 911 because you're not gonna get me on that one. But I think cars on their side and on upside down like that are super unstable. So if you go to start pulling on doors and pushing on the car, they're unstable. So they could roll over more or roll on top of you. So just be cautious going up to cars like that, especially cars on their side are super unstable and they will roll on top of you or they roll down the embankment more. So be able to secure the scene, like you were saying, probably being a good witness. If you can reach in there, look for major bleeding and kind of, stop that. But just be cautious, because we don't want to start opening up doors, especially if there's entrapment, start pulling people out. If he's hanging upside down, then when you cut that seatbelt, he's just going to fall to the floor. Yeah. And now he's going to be hurt even worse. So just be cautious about that with someone upside down. And you're going to probably need some more help to get him out of that car.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, honestly, the cool thing is that the classes that, stop the bleed, first care provider, skinny medics classes, like all of those, they talk about all this stuff in so much depth. So finding good medical training is such a huge thing. And just spending the time thinking about all these scenarios. Any other fun scenarios that are out there?
We saw the 1 to 2, like the one with the lady shot. And I don't know if she was getting robbed or if she was like, there was someone comment said, what if she was carjacking the car? I'm like, well, that's a whole different twist on the story. But you can see like she shoots the suspect or shoots the other guy, and then bullet holes fly into the other car. So there again, situation awareness, when you're pumping gas, things could light off at any point in time. So just kind of keeping your head on a swivel, looking around. If we don't have to escalate a situation, don't escalate it. Like don't push the envelope like that. But also knowing what's going on in the car next to you is important, because if they start getting aggravated and start escalating their situation, then maybe we need to leave. Like quit pumping gas and just go to a different gas station. You chose the wrong gas station. But just kind of, situational awareness is huge. If we can prevent something going into a bad situation, let's don't go there.
Yeah, for sure. I've left a gas station before because I was paying attention and domestic situation was developing, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna like get out of here. And I didn't leave. I pulled away and watched until the incident just de-escalated itself. But yeah, I don't want any part of that. I'm gonna get away, be a good witness in those cases for sure.
Yeah, Kenneth and I were talking about the other day. We actually had somebody on our property, like 1 o'clock in the morning. Our ring cameras kicked off, and a guy was walking behind one of our shops. The camera kicks on, the light kicks on. We have it programmed so another light kicks on, and so the guy just ran off our property. We have 5 acres, but we've got him on multiple cameras just running off the property. And when Candace went out there first, she went on the front porch by herself because she was in another bedroom. She couldn't sleep, so she was reading in another bedroom. So she goes on the front porch and was like, I should probably go wake Dietrich up. So she comes and gets me up. I grabbed my night vision and a 9mm Glock and go out on the front porch. And I'm sitting here thinking, all right, looking around. She's got this big spotlight. I have my night vision. And I'm holding a gun. And I was like, this is not how I want this to go down. Like, this guy it's not worth it. So say he steals a TV out of the shop or something like that. It's not worth taking someone's life over a stupid TV. Yeah. I'm like, and so he was already off the property, and Candace was like, are you gonna go ride around and look for him? And I was like, no, I'm not gonna go ride around and look for him, because I was like, knowing my luck, I'm gonna ride up on him, and then let's say, heaven forbid, he does pull a gun on me, or he escalates it, and I have to take his life. It's not worth it. Like, it's not worth going to find trouble because he was on my property. Right. Now, if he threatens me or he threatens Candace, then it's game on. And I've done lots of training that I feel comfortable taking that shot. But why put myself in a situation where I take someone's life over something stupid like that? That bothers me.
Yeah, the pursuit. I mean, George Zimmerman, that that pursuit until something happens, and then we hear about it for 100 years.
Yeah. So like I said, luckily we haven't had any more issues. Luckily we have, a bunch of cameras on our property, and Candace was like, I think we need one more camera. So it definitely, gave us that alert that if somebody was on our property, we had a little bit of an advantage. We set cameras off that has motion detectors, lights come on, so we're able to protect our property. But they're going to same thing. Like, I'm not going to go look for trouble, and it's not worth it. It's not worth someone breaks in the shop, they steal a computer, steal a laptop, to take someone's life over that is not worth it for me in my book. I know people may have other thoughts on that process, but if you threaten my wife or my kids, then I will absolutely take that shot. But over a backpack or over a computer, I'm not willing to take someone's life over that. So you can have it. Like, we'll prosecute you later for it. But
agreed.
I do. Totally different. Like, we weren't talking about this, but like, I didn't even think about, I had to go back and look. Like, I signed up for second call defense years ago.
Yeah.
When I was out there in Colorado, and the guy came out and did a little presentation. We signed up for it. And so like the next morning I logged in, I was like, okay, I'm still a member. So I'm like, ooh, like that was probably, the one of the times I'm like, man, that's close that, I thought I might have to use my weapon because someone was on my property, but I was like, all right, we're good. Like, I would be like, had to call somebody, like, all right, I need some help. I just shot somebody on my property.
Exactly. Yeah. And they just expanded their coverages. Like, I think they're like leading the industry now in the coverages they have. So yeah, another good thing, being prepared ahead of time, just in case you do have to do the horrible thing that none of us want to do, but are ready to do.
Yes, definitely. Like, hopefully I never come in a situation where I even have to draw my gun on somebody, but I do training, ready for it, and got the insurance protection for it. But there again, especially on the property. But yeah, my little wife was out there ready to go to get somebody. She's like, I think I need to get Dietrich awake. Yes, yeah. I appreciate that. Do that. Let's get me awake.
I'm more afraid of Candace than I am of you.
That's legitimate. Like, I'm okay with that. That's what one of my buddies was like, man, if I was younger, I'd go streaking across your property. I was like, that's fine. Candace will shoot you. Like, it'll be fine. Like, I don't even have to get out of the
bed. I fully believe that 100%. That's awesome, man. All right. What else we got here in the show notes? I think that's it.
So I did want to, like, we talked about me a lot, but you started a new project up, and I ordered a athletic hoodie. And I ordered a pair of the Hoochie Daddy shorts.
Yes.
And they didn't look good on me, so I gave them to Candace. We did a Who Wore It Better on Instagram, and my white chicken legs just don't look good in those shorts. But I love the athletic hoodie I got. It's thin. I like wearing it at night, like around the house, especially, in the fall, like it's getting a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
It's soft. I like it. It's I got it's not black multicam pattern. Basically, it's a dark night something maybe.
Yeah. So the whole story here is that I don't know how to be still, I think. And even though I'm super busy, I was like, I want to do, well, I'll tell the whole story actually, because I don't think I've told the whole story anywhere. So I never served. I was never first responder. I was never military. I was never law enforcement, but I am in the firearms industry. And as such, like, everything that I can buy is camouflage. And, it's like, I either look like I'm trying to LARP as an operator, or I look like I went shopping in the hunting section at Sportsman's Warehouse. And like, either way, I was just like, I never felt as cool as I probably should have. So I sat down one day and I was like, I am going to create my own camouflage, something that I can wear and just feel cool and comfortable in my skin. And so I did it, and I ordered a couple bits of clothing with my camouflage pattern. I only had one back then. And I was like, this is cool. This is cool. I made my own thing, and I can wear my own thing and not feel like a nerd. And then I ended up wearing my windbreaker to the airport. And several people stopped me, and they were like, man, where'd you get that jacket? That is so awesome. So when I got home from that trip, I sat down again and I was like, I think maybe there's something here. Maybe I'll try to do something else. So I sat down, I came up with 5 different colors of my same camo pattern, and I called it Camorado, just because I thought it was unique. And then once I created those patterns, I thought it'd be really fun to try to take something from just an idea in my head to like a full retail thing. So I like built a website and launched the company, and it's just kind of grown since there. We just did 5,000 in sales last month, which not 5,000 in profit, just 5,000 in sales. So it's like not enough to pay the mortgage or anything, but it's been this really fun hobby that I started that has now kind of taken on its own life. And it's really fun. Yeah. So I think we have 14 different colorways now. Like I've teamed up with a couple creators to have their own custom colorways. We could have a skinny medic colorway if you want. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, like I don't know now. Like, what could we do? Like, have like a skinny medic logo like buried into the camouflage somewhere.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah, like I said, I ordered the athletic hoodie. I'm gonna order some more stuff. But it was super soft. Like I like that. Like I want something soft. I don't want to be super stiff and comfortable. And it's
Yeah.
something different. Like it's like you said, it's not something I looked at Sportsman's Warehouse or Bass Pro Shops. Like I'm ready to go deer hunting out there.
Yeah.
And like I said, same thing for me. Like I never served in the military, so I feel really uncomfortable if I'm going to put multi-cam on or some kind of camo on because I'm like, oh, I didn't really do this.
Yeah.
But I am fortunate to get to serve. I know I'm not a police officer. I'm a medic. I get an opportunity to carry a gun as a SWAT medic, but I'm not a police officer. So there again, like not repping something that I'm not. I get really uncomfortable around that kind of stuff because I don't want to pretend like I'm something I'm not. But I can wear something cool that looks like camo, and people are going to ask about it. So I think you're doing an awesome thing there.
Yeah, thanks, man. And I'm wearing it right now. Actually, this is my Merc pattern. When the movie for Deadpool came out, I was like, I'm going to take my pattern and put like Deadpool colors on it, and it'll be fun. The thing that you bought was my hooded sun shirt. So it's full sleeve hood, real soft, UPF plus 50 protection from sun and ultraviolet rays, moisture wicking, 100% polyester, super light, super soft. I literally wear those probably 85% of the time now. I've got 9 of them in different patterns, and I love them.
The Hoochie Daddy shorts, like I had to like my underwear was like hanging out the bottom of them. I'm like trying to tuck my nothing else was falling at the bottom of it. Let's just don't be honest there. But yeah, I was like, hey babe, you go try these on, and they look great on Candace. So they look great on her. Not so much me, but yeah, they were there. She loves them, so she loves the shorts.
Yeah, those were literally just people kept asking for short shorts, and I was like, fine, I'll put them up. I don't care. What do I care? And they have sold quite a bit, actually. It's very, very interesting. But yeah, it's fun. It's called Camorado. It works all over the country. I've got people all over the country. Someone just took their first animal wearing some of my Camorado yesterday, an antelope in Nevada, I believe.
Nice.
So yeah, it's super fun. CAMORADO.com. Welcome 5 will give you a discount if you go check it out. But thanks, man. I appreciate the shout out.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. I think that's something pretty cool, something different. So like you said, kind of diversifying incomes, kind of just moving around different places. So that's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and it's been a fun project too, like taking all the things that we've learned over the years and just like putting it all into play on one thing. So social media, email marketing, just branding, working with content creators from the product side. First time I've done that, and I hate it. But
You mean content creators aren't super easy to work with and always do what they say they're going to do?
Yeah, very, very rarely, if ever, do what they say they're going to do. It's weird, but I actually
They always have the reach that they say they do. And
yes, yeah, I launched an affiliate program, and that has made them more accountable. So the people that I have signed up now are doing a great job. The people that I did in the first rush, not so great, but that's all part of the learning. And like I said, this is literally my hobby that has just kind of turned into something fun.
Yeah.
Speaking
Awesome.
of medicalgearoutfitters.com, coupon code civilian medical is where you can save money there. And, of course, Dietrich has other jobs now, but that still puts food on the table and supports his family and other families there locally too, which is great.
It does. Like we had that conversation with several other people, and they're like, well, that's Candace's job now. Like that's her main source of income is medical gear. So, most families have several forms of income, and that's Candace's. Like she stepped up behind the scenes, paying invoices, making sure bills get paid and things like that. So she's doing that. And then Lindsay, shop manager, like she's telling our other employees when to come in and stuff like that. So you're supporting multiple families. Pretty much everybody's a first responder that you're that works for us that you're supporting. So you're still helping a small business out.
Heck yeah. How do people get a hold of you or us? I don't remember. Do you?
I think I stole civilianmedical.com.
Did you? Okay, cool. So do we have an email address?
No.
Okay, I'll tell you what. If you have ideas for us to talk about every time we record, go to firearmsradio.net and then just click on contact us and send your questions in there, and they will make it to us, and then we'll throw them in the show notes. But yeah, like, we would really love to hear what you guys have in mind, what you guys want to hear, what you guys want us to cover. Do you want us to kind of start from the beginning again? We can do that. Do you want us to cover scenarios like we did today, new products? If you have ideas for products, if you have ideas for scenarios, just go firearmsradio.net, click on contact us, send them in, and we will talk about them. Because I'm back in. We're not going to do it as often, but I've missed Dietrich, and this is the only way I can hang out with him. So we're doing it.
Yeah, I think once a month is plenty of coverage, for scenarios to come up, events happening in the world we could cover,
Yeah.
new products and stuff like that. So I think I'm totally game for that.
We're so back, baby. All right, I'm ready. I'm going to hit the music. We'll see you guys next time. We love you. Goodbye.
Find us and subscribe at civmedical.com.